So I'd like to call this town board meeting to order on Tuesday, August 13th, 2013. Would you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thanks everybody for dodging the raindrops that just poured a few minutes ago. So thanks for coming out. I think Carol, should we do a roll call just to be official? This is a new thing I learned.
Do you want me to ask if everyone is here? Mr. Myers, are you here?
Present.
Mr. Jazinski, are you present?
All present and accounted for.
Mr. Esposito, are you present? Mr. Joyce?
Yep.
Mr. Clavis? You are present, right? Okay.
Thank you.
Did you want the record to reflect the council's attendance? Is that?
All right, so I'd like to open up, or which is actually still open, is the public hearing on the comprehensive plan. I guess we had some mix-up on my part about the logistics of the exact process. So we opened up for public comment at the July town board meeting. We took the comments of the board. In the meantime, the piece that we missed was that the comprehensive plan committee itself needed to hold an open, a public hearing, which they did 2 weeks ago, so courtesy of Paul and the committee. So Paul and the committee absorbed and took the feedback from the open meeting. I guess it was a pretty good meeting with some good exchange of knowledge and concerns. So thank you, Paul, and the committee again for coming up and stepping up again. As a result of the committee has made some minor changes, which, I reviewed with the board, pretty minor. They added some historical references, a question about special use permits, and the third one about third places being private places. She's sure what even that meant, but so I'll talk about that to the board. Overall, I think they're considered minor changes. So if the board's in consideration, then we can either reschedule a public hearing, or if it's considered minor enough to close the meeting and take the plan to the next step. But at this point, the public hearing is still open on the comprehensive plan. So I'll open the floor up to comments, concerns, thoughts about the comprehensive plan. Thank you. So Paul, actually, is probably a good segue. If you could just kind of walk through the quick changes real quick.
Yes, this was a meeting on the 30th. And we made very few changes, though we listened very carefully to a number of people. Mary Sue Reed spoke at some length, and a number of other people spoke. But basically, we added the word historical to sections 1202 and 1304 under the heading where we had deleted it, and it said just cultural resources, so now it says historical and cultural resources. In sections 1310, we removed the 5-year term renewal on special use permits in the case of except for the case of when the use of ownership changes. And in section 1310, the section that's being called third places, which allows these places to be created basically in any zoning district. We went on to add restrictions if they are formed within a residential district, that it comply with the nature of the residential district, and the noises will not be heard emanating from such a place by even the closest neighbor. Parking will be hidden behind, and signage will be limited as per the existing zoning regs. So that's all we did, which I consider to be fairly minor.
Perfect.
What section was that, Paul?
The last one is section 1310A5, which was on page 62.
Okay. So the floor is open for thoughts, comments? Sure.
Paul, under the historical,
Yeah.
explaining what that meant now?
We had taken the name historical and cultural resources previously and removed the word historical and we put them back. So it says now that the section is called historical and cultural resources, and that the town should be concerned with preservation of. But it doesn't have it. There are no specifics there. The list of individual properties that had been in the prior section is still absent.
So again, for members of the audience, you're free to ask or express your concerns to the board, or ask questions of Paul. I see he's got some representatives here from the committee, so just feel free. All right, Paul. Well, I thank you again to your committee. It's been a great effort again. Again, speaking for myself and hopefully the rest of the board, that the committee was comprised of a very broad audience, I guess, or committee of different aspects of both of life and of business and thoughts, and again, your team or the committee made a great effort to compromise on a lot of items that may have been controversial before. So I think it's a great document. It gives more flexibility to landowners, in my opinion. But again, thank you, and thank you to the committee. So. The board, any thoughts, or?
No.
All right.
Thank you, Paul.
Well, Ms. Bishop.
Hello.
So we're
Trying to sneak in here without being noticed.
so we're just wrapping up the public hearing on comprehensive plan. Not to put you on the spot, but do you have any thoughts before we close it?
I guess the planning board had a few comments, nothing major, but
Can you
I
hear?
don't have them with me.
No, can you stand, because we put a microphone up here, so we had trouble with the first video at Time Warner, so our videographer, Ben, put the microphone over there. So I don't know if you could stand up at the podium if you have any comments.
I don't have any right, I'm not prepared to make comments right now.
Okay.
So, I just said, planning board did have some comments, but I don't have them with me.
All right, so as a resident, you?
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay. Okay, well, I guess at that point, I'm gonna close the public hearing on the comprehensive plan. And thanks, Mike. So again, I'm obviously new to the comprehensive plan process here. So even though we're gonna close the public hearing, I know at a minimum, we're hoping to get some comments back from the planning board, zoning board, Dan Marciniak, and some other county agencies. But for the general residents, again, if you want to submit something in writing to myself, to any members of the board, to Paul, either, via email or US mail, we'll keep keep an open mind here till the next town board meeting in September. So, and then hopefully Pat, Vic, Dan, and everybody else will have a chance to provide their feedback from their teams. So again, if anybody's got any written comments, that's great, please send them in, and I'll make sure the board's copied, the planning boards, zoning boards, Dan Marciniak, all the other boards, including Paul and the comprehensive plan committee. So officially, Paul, great job, thank you to Lisa, Mary, and the rest of the board. That I know it's a long haul, so thanks again. Vic, you have a question?
Yeah, no, just if you want a comment on it from myself,
Oh,
as,
yeah.
and as the ZBA chair, I'm not gonna make a comment to represent the board, but if you want a comment, I'll read one. I was gonna give Pat some time to think.
I was gonna give you, if you do me a favor, again, if you stand at the podium, because it's mic'd now, and we did have some audio issues, I guess, on the Time Warner channel.
No, I'll just make it brief, I mean, fine job.
One more, well, I'm gonna reopen the meeting.
I'm sorry?
Public hearing. Thanks, go ahead.
So I'm Victor Benson, I live at 3040 Giffords Church Road, I'm also the ZBA chair, and just a couple comments on the plan. It's been a long time coming, fine job. I don't have any specific feedback about how you should change it, I think it's fine as is. And I think it's gonna be a valuable tool for both the planning board and zoning board, and when the ZBA sits and looks at these cases, there's a lot of input that goes into decision making. It's a quasi judicial board. And a lot of times you're looking at the zoning law that was written a long time ago, and you don't necessarily understand what the context was in some of the paragraphs, the way that they're written. And this document, I think, is going to serve as a nice framework to put some context into some of those laws. So I think it's going to be just one more input that we really don't have today, at least up to date, to help with better decision making for the board. So thank you. And I could provide more in writing later, but that's all I have for now.
Thanks, Vic. Again, Paul, thanks, and again, for the residents of the town, it's a pretty important document, and again, I want to reiterate that, Paul and the committee, did a great job. It was a complicated solution, a lot of discussions, went into some late nights, talking through each one of the bullets in the document. So I know it's sometimes a little bit transparent to the rest of the community, but having sat in and listened to them, and even just worked down in my office while Paul and the committee discussed these, each and every paragraph in the document. It was a great effort, Paul. So again, kudos from myself anyway. Thank you very much. Any additional comments before I close again? Okay, I'm gonna close the public hearing at 7:18. Alright. So this time, comments. So I'm gonna open up the public comment. Privileges of the floor. And again, I'm gonna take a minute here just to go through the privileges. At every regularly scheduled town board meeting, the public will have the right to address the town board during the portion of the meeting referred to as privileges of the floor, which shall take place after the reports of the town department and supervisor. Members of the public wishing to speak during privileges of the floor may sign a sheet before the commencement of the town board meeting indicating his or her name, address, and proposed topic. Signing the sheet will dictate the order in which persons are recognized to speak and will assure that the town clerk has correct spelling of their names and addresses for the minutes. Members of the public are to restrict their comments to items of town business and are to observe proper decorum when addressing the town board. Persons who become unruly, use inappropriate language, or persist in speaking in items not related to the town business may be ruled out of order. Although there is no official time constraint, speakers may address one or more items in their comments. They should be considerate of others to try to limit the remarks to no more than 5 minutes so that all interested members of the public will have an opportunity to be heard. So I will open up the floor for public comment at 7:20.
It's Pat Bishop, Chair of the Planning Board for the town, and unfortunately I don't see him here tonight, but I wanted to take this opportunity to recognize Gino Santa Barbara, who, as probably everyone knows, is going to be leaving us as town planner. I think Gino was with us for 9 years. He served in the capacity of assisting the public, coming in with their applications and projects. He's assisted the zoning board, the planning board, got us through a lot of projects, helped us interpret the zoning law, and just really proved to be an invaluable asset to the town. And we're going to miss him. I have a gift certificate for him and a little card of recognition I was going to give him tonight, but I think he's going to be here on Thursday, which hopefully I can give it to him then. But I just want to say, we appreciate having Gino for the record, and, wish him a lot of luck in the future, and hope he comes to visit us. So I wish he was here tonight. I thought he was going to be. I understood that he was, but.
He did IM me at late, and I didn't get a chance to.
Okay. Well.
But he might try to make the next board meeting, if not maybe Thursday, and I did say, hey,
Yeah.
maybe go out and have a soda or two.
Yeah. Well, again, I just wanted to recognize his service to the town and to say that, we're going to miss him and his services. So.
Yeah. Thanks, Pat. And I'm in agreement too. I mean, Gino was like the, I don't want to say the Alex Trebek, but you could pretty much ask Gino any question, and he knew the answer. So, yeah, he's sorely missed, and good luck in his new job. I know is one of the reasons he was looking to move on was to spend some more time with his little kids. So I know that the town owes him a huge thanks, as Pat indicated. So thank you. Additional comments? Okay, I will close the public comment at 7:23. All right, old business. Highway.
Well, we got a few projects in the works. One of them is Willow Run. And we've got the county lined up to do the work. We're just waiting for him to get at it. And it's got to do with shoring, the sides of the roads has got stones on it, which they wanted to get rid of. So Mike and I met with Joe Ryan. It was a good meeting where we got together where he's gonna dig it up and put grass on it. So to get rid of the stones on a few of the houses that are complaining about it. But I drove up there today and I looked at it, and grass is already growing through the stones that are there, so we don't have to do that much, I don't think so. And the other one is Overlook. He's gonna dig the ditches on Overlook and have the water run better there. And they did a lot of work on Kelly Station Road. They got it looking good now. So he's doing a lot of work. And I had one issue up on Weiss Road where the culvert pipe was plugged. So he ran up there and did that for us, which is good. So he's working very good with us. Really appreciate it. It's just a matter of time for him to get everything done. I guess they're busy, you know. But we're looking forward to him doing what we asked him to do. And that's about it. The only other issue was the gazebo, which we're worried now about him knocking it down again. So I don't know.
So I know I've been promising this and.
So we come up with suggestions what to do next to protect him from doing it. And I don't know, while we were working on it, Mike was there with me, and we were thinking on putting iron posts around instead of blocking the road off. So we're going to talk about it and see what everybody thinks about it. If you want to do it, we can do it that way. Drilling holes in the ground, put sonotube in, pour concrete in it, and put 6-inch posts periodically, not a lot of them, just enough so if a truck does go around there, instead of hitting the gazebo, they hit the post. And they'll let them know they're hitting something, maybe they'll stop. But in the meantime, we're worried about it. Somebody might go around the corner before we do anything, correct?
Yeah, yes, sir. You're absolutely right, Andy.
So I don't know. I come up with, I can park a truck in front of it so they don't go around it or put a trailer. I got a big 48-foot trailer I can cross and go across there so nobody goes around and just leave it opening for cars if you fellas want me to do it, you know? Until we get it done.
Maybe a possibility, I think we were talking about reaching out to Joe and see if we can get a couple barricades. I know I was supposed to go onto the internet and look at those planters,
Well-
big old planters out there, and ask the civic committee to put some flowers in there and just kind of block it that way.
Well, whatever you want to do, it's up to you
Yeah.
fellas.
I would like the big rocks. Just,
I think Nick's is a good idea, personally.
yeah.
Well, decide what you want to do, and
All right.
if I can help out in any way, I will do that.
And
It's got to be wired yet. We got to wire it, and then it'll be all done.
perfect.
I guess there's a light out there that shines on the flag, and we get the flag. So we'll do that. Okay, that's about it.
Yeah, I wanted to say, when I was here with Nick and Nick Jr. showed up, and first thing he handed me was a rake and said, "Get to work." It's like, oh, man.
He said he wanted to help, but don't bring a pick and shovel, you know?
So, yeah. Just to keep following up on Nick, so like I say, we got, Willow Run is on the agenda tonight for 284, which I forgot to print, but if we pass the resolution, then I'll go print up the actual 284 agreement, we can all sign off on it, with the agreements in the minutes. So we looked at Willow Run, we looked at Overlook Road. One piece I forgot, at the bottom, Rooter Drive, of either extending the culvert a little bit up Rooter Drive on the south side, at corner of Pangburn. You can see where I guess the ice and everything's building up, so I don't know if you wanna try to measure that out a little bit, or I can meet you, we can measure it out, and see if, Joe gives us a price on that.
Well, we decided to dig where the culvert is,
and let the
water run through.
He called me later on, after he sent me, the quotes, and said, get Nick to give me a measurement. I forgot to call you, so I think I might mistake.
up the road do you want to go? Yeah.
Whatever you think, I think, 10 feet maybe-ish. I think just past that little valley there, or swale.
Let's shoot for 20 feet and let them dig it right down to the corner.
into the other culvert, yeah.
And deep enough where if it does wash in over, you know, it might be a good idea to put some riprap in there
Yeah.
to hold the dirt back, you know? Now, what, you have spoken to him of that, or what?
He just traded emails, and I said I'll call Nick, and I didn't get to it, so I'll meet up with him and measure it out.
I could call him again and talk to him, you know?
All right.
There's 3 valves right there for the water too, so.
We're very close to it too.
Yeah.
They're not real, are they?
Yeah.
They're right to hill?
Right on the side of the bank,
You
and
want
in
to
that
do
ditch.
You're gonna have to mark them.
All right.
Well, they've already hit them 14 times, so.
And then the last piece was, I got, a couple more calls from residents on Quackenbush. So I talked to Dan already. I've talked to, some of the residents down there and pretty much everybody who's involved. And I'd like to, if it's possible, set up a meeting, obviously with you, Nick, Dan, maybe Mike, maybe some of the residents, and then a couple of the other concerned people that are involved, and see if we can come to an agreement to figure out, how to stop that.
I haven't
soil
heard
from washing.
anything from them anymore. We did have another storm.
Yeah, but not like that storm. And now everything's growing up. It's supposed to, like you say, it's in the spring when it's, there's nothing there. That's the
Well,
wash.
there was a question there on the residents, some of them don't want the riprap and some of them do, so they're making it a little confusing for Joe, to what to do.
Yeah, well, that's what I'd like to get, again, yourself, Mike, and or Dan, the residents down there, the representative from county. Let's just try to, we understand what the problem is, let's just try to figure out a solution and make, protect them and hopefully not cost the county a ton of money, but
Okay, I suggest getting hold of Joe again, and Joe Ryan, and get a meeting in there,
exactly,
because he's the important one there, that's his role,
exactly, yeah,
Okay.
perfect. I think that's it for highway. You guys have any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I thought I had something else, Nick, but I can't remember what it was. Okay, code enforcement. Oh, I'm sorry. George. Wait, no, stop, go.
There's a bunch of steel pilings over by the enormous Gilt Bridge we could put out here. They're only about 10 feet long that they cut off the pilings they drove in. They'd work real good.
And we call it art. All we do is weld them together and we call it some kind of art.
Oh, yeah. Water buildings are all sent out this month. Got about 200 out of 300 back already, I believe, something in that range. Rooter Drive tank had a new vent cap put onto it. And basically outside of that, everything else has been running fairly decent in the water this month. Solar panels have been up on the Route 7 well house. They've been working about 3 weeks, and the ones in Giffords Church have been going just over a week and a half. A lot of days they're producing good, other days.
What are you anticipating the savings, George?
We're gonna have to wait till we really get the bills. I'd say just what's it been, 15 days, 16 days on the solar on Route 7 that's produced about 3,000 kilowatts. It's reversed the national grid meter. What's it? Between 700 and 750 on kilowatt hours. So we got a big savings with the 28 to 3,000 kilowatts that we produced. That's only 4 cents a kilowatt compared to 8 or 9. And then the savings of reversing the meter and the delivery charge of that 3,000 kilowatts, which we won't be paying for either, at 16 or 17 cents a kilowatt. And the Giffords Church Road one in a week, what's it been? Well, that was done on a Friday, so we're about 12 days in that, 11 days. That one there, the meter's gone backwards, about 550, 600 kilowatts.
Going backwards?
Going backwards.
Oh, man.
I mean, really, even like yesterday, both the pumps were running on Route 7. And the solar was actually still just about producing,
Really?
enough power to keep the pumps run, both the pumps running without drawing on National Grid.
Good idea, Lou, and Joe. And George. Wow, that's great news, man.
Let's wait and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just say, we gotta see, the sunny days, you can see it produces a lot. I mean, it produced about 160, 170 for the plus side on the sunny days. Then you go back to a day like today, it goes back 100, the normal 100, 110 kilowatts we use. So,
Yeah, but overall, we're.
Overall,
we're
it's
not
starting-
Binghamton, Binghamton's cloudy,
yeah,
250 days a year.
yeah.
So, quick question, so I know it's, you're going through your maintenance now and stuff. Do you start preparing for winter? And do you start buying, an extra valve or two or pipes or anything? Because I know last year was my first year kind of going through it, but, as soon as that first deep freeze hit, everything heaves and pipes and I don't know if you get better deals now buying materials versus wait until it cracks.
Well,
Wondering.
valves we really don't use. I do have a couple valves up there that from taking out the Birchwood Drive one, a couple 10-inch valves and an 8-inch valve. Plus we have a 6-inch valve that's been in stock for 10 years. For a previous repair, we had to replace one. And, pipe. We've got a couple small sections there. It's something I've been looking into a couple different times. Have a 8-inch or 10-inch section of pipe on. That's, a couple $1,000s of pipe sitting to buy.
Yeah.
The other parts, repair bands and that we do keep in stock, though we've been using them up, so we got to go out again. And I've been talking to the suppliers and telling them what I need. And either they don't think they need enough business right now or what, I don't know.
Yeah.
They write everything down and nobody ever sends me anything, so I really got to get after them. But we've been so busy with the repairs and everything else, they haven't even been able to go proactive with a lot of valves or anything like that.
All right. Any questions for George? Thank you, sir.
Well,
Dan?
You all have my report, and I can just go over it briefly. Permits for the past 2 months were 13 issued. Fees collected were in the $1,600 range. To date, I've issued 30 permits for the year. Last year at this point, we were at 31. 2011, we were at 26. So we're running pretty average. 2010, we had a big year. We were at 47 at this time. We did have 2 house starts in the last month, June and July. So that pushed up the revenue. So we're like at a $4,600 peak right now versus $2,800 last year. We've had a lot of complaints this year that I've had to deal with. 8 last month alone. One was what you talked about was Quackenbush Road, but then on Quackenbush I had 3 issues with chickens. And our dog officer doesn't do chickens, so that falls on code enforcement. So I've dealt with the 3 people on Quackenbush regarding chickens. We have you all have a copy of the letter I sent to a landlord down in Mount Kisco, New York. Unfortunately, he has a piece of property that wasn't livable in, and he rented it to some people in Texas. They drove up here to move in, and it was not habitable. So now they're in court with him trying to get their money back. I cited him on 15 code violations. He has responded. He has someone down there trying to repair it, but I don't know how the people's lawsuit went. They have to go to Mount Kisco to small claims court. So,
Is that the same one we've always had trouble with?
yes. We had issues 2 years ago, I think. Same landlord. He has no idea what the property is. If you look on the internet, it looks beautiful because the pictures are from 15 years ago when he bought it, or when it was new. He bought it in a foreclosure, and it's been destroyed. Then I have another property maintenance issue on Spring Road. The only 3 houses that are in the town of Princetown on Spring Road, and one of them is a problem child. So, other than that, we're at an even keel for the year with other years. So,
Perfect. I do have a question. And I just think it behooves the town, but, I guess I'll ask for your thought and George's and the board's, but, so we're very close, if not 100%, to finishing up this solar. Is it part of your duties to do an inspection of the construction?
my duties for a electrical, or for a solar panel installation is to get the final electrical inspection and that all the conditions of the planning board were met. So if there was any conditions put on by the planning board or the zoning board, I have to see if they've been met, and a final electric inspection has to be done before any approvals are done, because an outside agency has to do the inspection.
The license, what?
It's a electrical inspector that the town recognizes. We use 3 of them. MDIA, the inspector, or Commonwealth. That's a separate New York Light Energy. You'll have to call for their final electrical inspection, just like any building permit. New house, they have to have a final electric done by a third-party inspector.
So do you do a walkthrough with the inspector, or? You
Oh, not for the electrical. I meet somebody from the New York Light Energy and go through that with them. They can set up, we'll make arrangements and we'll do it. But they have to have the final electric inspection. The sticker has to be affixed to the panel box and so
Save it
on.
all done,
Yeah,
if they're all done
So.
before they were turned on.
Usually NIMO won't turn them on until they see a final inspection also.
I just want to make sure that, I know Lou and Bob, or Lou and Joe have been watching it, George has been watching it, from a
Right.
quality inspection, I think it behooves us to make sure that, we're very comfortable with, the lawns been repaired and.
As long as the conditions have been met.
and
if there's any
safety
conditions.
hazards.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay?
so we'll kind of coordinate something with Dan, and New York Light Energy kind of gives us what.
They should be doing that.
Yeah, they should contact me. It isn't up to these guys.
Yeah. But the thing is that, when I had mine, I had to get it for you
Yeah.
the same way.
Yeah, you called for your electrical inspection. I
And
came out.
He came in, and he's an expert.
He does the electrical inspection and I do the conditions.
Right.
I just, from my own personal, I would like to have a representative of the town give the blessing, and, my confidence is in you.
That's
Not that I have
fine.
confidence in New York Light Energy, but you're the man.
Well, no, actually, to close the permit out, I should do a final inspection.
That's what I like to hear.
Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Anytime. One other thing, is anybody gonna take over for Gino? Because people are dropping things off that are coming in. I'll talk to Pat, but.
So I guess we'll briefly talk about it now, but yeah, we're just holding some interviews. We're gonna continue to shop it around and, work it out with Pat, Vic, the board, but we're definitely holding some interviews, yeah.
Because I don't know if there's a meeting plan. These people are under the impression there is one for this month.
The 22nd.
Okay.
So why don't I,
I have the paperwork to
I'll
give them
talk
a
to
call.
you and see
Yeah.
what you got.
Because they were very frantic that Gino was gone. So, okay.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Dan.
Mike, just as a follow-up, you know, the conditions that the planning board put on that project is, I think that's the only outstanding thing would be the buffering for the residents. And we said that we would wait till the panels were in and they could see or not see them to determine what was appropriate. So that is still something, and I know you talked to the woman up on Gifford's Church and probably the Gentiles about that.
I just talked with them, and they said that they both understand that to plant trees, it's best done in the fall.
Okay.
And so and both of them are relatively surprised at how little that bothers them. I mean, the Gentiles get the glare in the late afternoon for a short time, but both are confident that we're gonna be able to fix it. And, so we'll just,
And I think this lady here, she's affected by the one on Route 7. And we had talked to you about, you know, once they went up, what you thought of it, and so.
The solar panels?
Yeah.
Yeah, they look good. They don't interfere with anything electrical in my house.
No, well, we just, for visual, we just wanted to make sure you were happy with it without.
They look all right.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, you know, at least from a safety perspective, that, you know, there's nothing glaring, no open pipes, no caps that are loose or et cetera. Because once they basically disengage, it's kind of done. Okay. Thank you, Dan. Anything for Dan? Sorry.
No, so, thanks, thank you.
Justice? Michelle? Dog control officer, Darla couldn't make it. I guess they're getting some good feedback on the enumeration, which is great news. Darla did send a note out that she'll be hopefully ready to discuss if we want to move into phase 2 at the September town board meeting. So good work by town clerk office and dog control officer. The next one is the town planner, so obviously the position is open. We have put an article on the SUNY website. We're going to put an article in the newsletter, and we have received some within an hour, so some resumes, so we will be holding some initial interviews for the planner on this Thursday. And again, we're hoping that Gino can come in and say goodbye and or meet and have a soda. Carroll Town Clerk, the only thing I had was I guess really the copy of the contracts. I think he gave them to us, or the one. Thank you. Bob Myers.
I have nothing new other than the fact of talking with Nick. I like that idea of putting those posts around instead of blocking out the whole turnaround. I think I would have to agree that that would probably be a more sensible solution to protecting our gazebo. You know, and instead of something real obtrusive, just blocking off things. I mean, so that's just my opinion. I like that idea. Other than that, there's nothing new on Dale Road or Parker's Corners at this point.
Any questions for Councilman Myers? Sir. Councilman Esposito.
Trooper Barracks, we had an air conditioning problem there. It was repaired by Mohawk.
You probably need to speak up a little bit.
I said the Trooper Barracks, we had a problem with the air conditioning. One of the units went down, had a small leak into it, and Mohawk went back again, I think it was past week. a week and a half ago, and they did a leak test on it, and it's up and running, so that was repaired. Still waiting to get some more bids on the roof that has to be replaced, the roof, the flat portion of it. Haven't gotten all of the bids back yet. Other than that, on the trooper barracks, there's nothing else. Probably we should be, and maybe Nick could help us out with that. They're complaining about, there's holes in their driveway there. I don't know if there's anything that can be done with it.
That would be our expense, and our had nothing to do with the county, right? It's in the
Right.
driveway. We could just get, an outside individual, get bids on it, or maybe Joe will do it for us, you know? The county might do it for us and just charge us, that's okay.
Yeah, you got, maybe make a run that day or something, you got some extra.
We can give them all our work, and they've been pretty good with us, so. If you got time to do it, that's the only problem. you
It's
know?
probably where this little drain goes across out here, as we filled it in a couple of years ago. And it just, you know, washes back out or works up. And that's what they complained about before, because their cars, well, their cars would hit that on the way through. They said, you know, they'd have to slow down real slow to go over it.
Well, something could be done with it, because they've been having some complaints about it, so. Oh, one other thing, they did repair the gutters there, so that's up and running again. And we're still waiting to get some rooms repainted there where we had those minor leaks in it, so.
I'll get a couple bids, so I'll give them over to you.
Okay.
No, did we do anything with the water going in the garage? Is that,
The Dabbs was gonna take a look at that, and I don't know what he came up with when he was doing the gutters. He repaired the gutters, and I don't know exactly if he did anything with it. I haven't heard anything, I haven't been over there to look, but I haven't heard any more complaints about it, so maybe he cleared it out somehow. I think the gutters did and filling in that side spot there had a lot to do with the water going into the garage.
That was probably 90%.
So I know that the gutter was completely shot there, and it was running into the garage, so maybe that
Run through the wall, too.
helped correct the problem.
So they cleaned the gutters, put a new downspout in, because the downspout, so there's all garbage in there, and split it, and then, you know, it was washed away the wall, and it was just poured into the wall, so it was probably 80% of the water coming into the garage is coming from that spot, so hopefully we repaired it, and we should probably go take a look now, because it probably took up an inch of rain just before the meeting, so. But, if we want to contact, you know, maybe see if Joe wants to give us a quote, but I'm sure it's gonna be, we're getting pretty tight on, you know, how much funding we got left for highway.
Well, we should get something done with that before the winter though. I mean, that's gonna be a problem, it's only gonna get dug up more when they plow and Dad's plows in there. I don't know, maybe.
I'll take a look at it with you. Well,
Pardon?
I'll take a look at it with you and see what we come up with, you know?
Okay. You can see the holes on the side there as soon as you go in.
It's only something that's about, what, 12, 14 feet, 16 feet long, and a foot and a half wide.
Okay.
All right. And I gotta reach out to those furniture people down there and get a quote for the furniture. So once we're good there, we should be able to finish that room.
I'm going to talk with County Waste about getting a new garbage company in. I'm thinking Jim's Roll-Off, they're local again, they came in with the lowest price. He's given us a break on it because he's close by. So I'll contact County Waste and see if we can eliminate them and save some money on that, on the garbage. Talked about the solar. I think that the only thing that's left to be done on the solar is the monitor. Joe and I purchased the monitor, and they placed the wiring in for it, but they haven't installed it yet. So that's going to be done hopefully within a week or two.
Right.
So, and as far as I know, solar, I think they did an excellent job. The electricians, according to George, they did it's a superb
I
job.
recommend Flex anytime.
Pardon?
I recommend Flex Electric anytime. The guys that work, they were
really good.
Well, they did an excellent job in Amsterdam, that's why we chose them, so I think that they did, it's just, it really looks good. If anybody wants to go out and take a look at it, it does.
Okay.
The security system, I don't think we've done anything with that, Joe, have we?
Oh, no.
We've gotta do something about the security, and one of our residents, happened to be Mark, brought up to me today about, handicap door. We discussed that, something about getting a grant or something to put it in a handicap accessible door. I don't know if, I think Michelle had said something about applying for a grant.
I can apply again this year. They didn't award any grants for that,
They didn't?
not last year. The town got a letter.
So, other than that,
Okay.
that's it.
So we do have, and just to be, you know, we do have a 2012 McDonald bill, so in my opinion, it's New York Light Energies. But either way, we need to come to a decision, either they're gonna take care of it or we're gonna take care of it. So, can you reach out to them and?
Yeah, I did. I already spoke with him about it. He was gonna talk with Alex, which is the owner of the company, so they haven't gotten back to me yet. I put in a call for him, I don't know, about 6 o'clock tonight. I called him this morning and I haven't still heard back from him. I don't know where Mark Richardson is. He's the one who coordinated the whole project, so
Okay.
see what he's got to say and, we'll have an answer.
So just for the residents, so, you know, we follow typical permits, engineering, you know, as any resident would, who's gonna put some construction on their property. And we had to incur, even though there's a difference of opinion here, McDonald Engineering to come up with site plans and mark it in and mark the solar panels and do the measurements and stuff. So there is a bill outstanding. Again, I think there's a difference of opinion. My opinion, it belongs to New York Light Energy. They have a slightly different opinion, but either way, we need to tie it off very quickly and get it done. It's like, I don't know, $1,200, $1,400, something like that. I don't have it in front of me, but, you know, if we need to make a call here, so enough, I think, of the discussion. Okay, anything else for Lou?
That's all I have, so.
Good job, dude.
Thank you.
Good job on solar, Lou.
It just wasn't me, it was Joe. Joe had a lot to do with it too, so. He was here just as much as I was, probably sometimes even more when I was out on the road. So.
Yeah, no, I want to thank George too, because George
George.
is,
All three of us, you know, when we went out to, I think we chose the right outfit, in my opinion.
okay. Mr. Joe?
Okay. Well, E-code, we fulfilled our obligation to general code in Rochester. With a lot of thanks to Mike Cuevas, who helped us review, and Pat Bishop, our planning board chair. We went through all of the package that they sent to us for our review, and we got it turned around on July 17th. So now the ball is in their court. And I've been on vacation since shortly after that time, so I need to get in touch. I'll have a full report by the time of the next town board meeting, but we will.
Speak up a little, Joe.
I'm pretty sure that the next step isn't going to happen until fall, October or so. But I'll have better information next meeting. And I've just had a couple of people in town approach me, and they haven't seen the videos of our town board meeting. They asked how the sexual discrimination suit against us by the town clerk went, and I said, well, we did a conciliation agreement, but they said, well, what's that? And so I'm kind of bringing it up. Is there a nutshell kind of a way that we can answer those kinds of questions?
I'm gonna refer this to, our learned attorney here to answer that question.
I kind of missed the beginning part of that. Sorry.
A couple of people in town that I, met when I got back from vacation, and bumped into them at Price Shop or something, and they just said, how did that sexual discrimination thing go? And I said, well, I told them, we reached a conciliation agreement, and they said, well, what? And I didn't really feel qualified to really go into it in any great depth. And so I just thought, is there a neat way to answer that question?
Well, it's, I guess, not as simple because, there's perhaps, some misconceptions that people could have
Yeah.
about something like this, so that, we had 3 individuals that filed complaints with the Division of Human Rights, which is a state agency, which basically enforces, federal law with respect to discrimination. And this is, different than sexual harassment, so people should understand, there weren't any allegations of sexual harassment. There was discrimination based on someone's gender. That was the complaint. And when, in the first complaint, the allegations, well, it's probably easiest to, look at, the complaints dealt with complaints about the department budget of the individual that was filing a complaint, making an allegation that because the department head was a female, that budget was treated differently than other budgets. Then the complaint, also talked about the way that person felt they were treated because they were a female department head as opposed to other people. So the conciliation agreement is something, there's no finding made against the town, and that's stated in the agreement, that there's no, admission of any wrongdoing by the town, but the parties and the party that, first complaint was represented by an attorney, and I represented the town, and the representative of the Division of Human Rights worked out this conciliation agreement that then addressed those issues that were raised, and so that with respect to the budgetary issues, there was an offer made by the town that the town would consider if in this case, the town clerk's office wanted to submit something to the town board at the July meeting, then they could, and the town board would entertain it. And that didn't happen, but in any event, the town board committed to doing that. There was an issue about how the town FOIL, or Freedom of Information Law, policy was handled, and so the town board agreed to consider comments that it would have received from Bob Freeman, who's the director of the State Committee on Open Government. I believe that the town board will be taking that up as far as looking at his comments on ways that they might improve their FOIL procedure. And the town looked at what it's done as far as records management. And again, you know, the authority on that is at the state level, the state education department has that. So we did send a letter with our information about what we do as far as records management to them. We've not gotten a response from them with any comments as to how we might improve that. And that, you know, is basically what was in that agreement. So, you know, it may seem to some people that's far afield from discrimination, and, you know, maybe it is, but, you know, I think both parties, and we had a statement that we agreed to and read at the July board meeting, that, you know, basically both parties agreeing that they're gonna work from this point forward, you know, to the benefit of the town, and try to avoid any kind of, you know, acrimony or stuff like that, that, you know, the town residents don't really need to happen. And that basically is how conciliation agreement works. There's no financial cost to the town or anything like that. There's no, you know, black mark in any book against the town, or, you know, finding or anything like that. So it's
So in
a
a
matter of
nutshell,
agreement of,
So in a nutshell, the town board was found,
well, there's no finding
there's
either
no
way.
findings at all that we did anything wrong.
Right, the parties just agreed to, you know, the complaints basically are withdrawn, and we move forward to do our business.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Joe, thank you. Anything for Joe? Sorry. No, that's all right. So for myself, one of the items was the 284 agreement. Again, it's in the agenda. All I put in so far was the Oakwood Lane repair and the Willow Run. There's two pieces on Willow Run, and but these are the numbers. I'll go get 284 once we've done read resolution, sign it, notarize it, et cetera. So we talked to Nick. We'll get a quote on Rooter Drive, and then try to meet up with not only the residents but everybody else on Blackwood, trying to resolve that washout that happened. So we can try to fix it, or so it won't happen again. The Norman Skill repairs. There's a resolution in here awarding the bid. So I'm hoping the town board will pass it. We'll get started. It is late August, so hopefully the creek will be drying up soon. Hopefully, if it was dry before tonight. So it looks like we're about $200 over on the material and the labor, and then engineering had to be redone. So, so the additional cost in engineering, you guys have a copy of it. If not, I'll give it to you. I talked to Tom Lacko, so we're gonna wait to the end of the project, look like to see how the bills come in, and then there is a process to file for like a change order, right? So even though they awarded us, you know, X number of dollars, there is a process to, you know, to award if there was a change order, because the original, this one we have to, the original design was actually been by NRCS, so they actually suggested a change to McDonald Engineering. McDonald Engineering went ahead and did it, but now there's an extra engineering charge. So I talked to him, so it should be good. We'll wait to the end and see if, and then submit a change order into NRCS. So took care of that. So hopefully once we award this, then the water drops down, they'll break ground. I think it's a 3-week interval. We got to closely watch it so we can wrap up the paperwork, get signatures in within 2 weeks of closure. If everything, all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, then it's like a 14-day turnaround before they'll send us a check. And we already have the FEMA check, so you know, knock on wood, there should be no cost out of pocket for the town. I want to touch base with Time Warner. I do want to ask the residents, and I'm going to ask Ben to speak up here for a second. So, I know myself, I've had a couple of interruptions of service, one last night. But overall, I guess it's a pretty complicated procedure, but I do want to highlight to the residents that if you do have concerns, please, again, I talked to one of their VPs this afternoon. If you guys have any concerns or anything's not going well with the Time Warner conversion, you know, please contact me or contact Time Warner. There's an Albany division. If you go Google it or look in the Yellow Pages, they're on High Street in Rotterdam. So they have a 24-hour operations center. They will pick up the phone and work with you. I did last night till about 9:30 myself. So the other piece, so again, if you have some feedback or it's not going well or you have some issues, I mean, you know, I've heard a lot of issues about porting phones over, you know, them having to come back and do extra work for, you know, anyone to charge you. This should be all free, so give me a shout or give Time Warner a shout. Again, they're here to help. The next piece is,
What is that phone number? That Schenectady phone number?
this is a trick question.
Well, I'm not sure I have it because
It's an 800 number.
It
It's,
is?
Yeah.
I keep getting routed down to North Carolina every time I call.
Alright. I went to Time Warner, I Googled it, Time Warner, and Time Warner Albany, and it comes up with an 800 number, it took me right to Albany.
Yeah, I use the 800 and I get North Carolina every time.
Alright,
And then they have to send me back,
okay,
which is a problem.
It's actually High Bridge that Time Warner is on.
that's the one, man.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I don't get very much.
Well, Mike's looking up real quick, so I do want to move on. I want to, again, reintroduce Ben Moore. Ben was the person who contacted Proctor's/Open Stage Media and set up our town board videos. So I'm going to give Brendan a few seconds to, first off, thanks for jumping in and giving us a hand on that, and then walk through the times, et cetera. So
Okay.
thank you, sir.
Since I began, all the video's been shot on this microphone, which is only on one channel, but it's always provided good audio. I haven't had any complaints from anybody. It broadcasts nice on YouTube, and the DVDs that I've been given the town, they haven't had any problems with that. However, on the government channel, first submission I did, apparently it doesn't work well on one channel, so they need a two-channel setup. That's why I have this microphone over here now, and it's a mixed mic between this one and the other, so it should alleviate the problem. The only reason I didn't do this in the first place is because this microphone is going to pick up better sound than when I'm over here with this microphone panning on you folks. So, you know, then we might get people saying, well, I can't hear these guys, but I can hear over here. And again, I can't provide this kind of quality. There's no way I can do it on a low budget, and even though people may think it's expensive, I can't make everybody happy with this as far as trying to have top-notch broadcast quality on everything. So doing the best I can with it. If there is any issues, I'm sure I'll hear about it. And the only other option I would have is to just go to regular stereo. I don't know how that's going to work, because that's going to pick up every little cough and sneeze or any little chair movement, and that's a distraction. So I'll work on it the best I can. Hopefully we'll get this solved.
Again, thanks again, Ben, for reaching out to Open Stage Media. The time slots are Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., I think.
Yeah, if you go on Open Stage Media, they have a website. You can go on there. It'll give you the schedule. Also, I don't know how the audio was. If it was I heard some reports there was no audio or very weak audio.
I heard no audio.
No audio at all.
I don't have the channel yet.
I don't even know why they would air that. I mean, they have my number. They never contacted me about this. So I didn't know until I got an email from you that there was no audio. So.
And then Sundays is like, what, 7 to 11 or something?
I think it's 11 to 2, on Sunday.
But
What I'll do also, I don't know if anybody looks at the YouTube video, I can put that down, that it'll be broadcast on that, and I'll put the schedule down. And,
And I'll ask Tim Bishop to put it up on the website, so,
Yeah.
again, the good news is we're broadcasting, it's gonna be a little more trial and error until we kind of figure
right,
out.
I mean, that's, yeah, everything's been fine up until I got involved with Time Warner, or not Time Warner, but the government access channel downtown, so. The only option I have is if people are trying to look at it on, cable and they weren't able to get the audio is on YouTube. If it's, either through the town website or just go directly to YouTube and just hit on the search Princetown, New York, and it'll pop up. And the audio, I looked at that, is fine. I don't have cable, haven't had it in a while. I don't watch TV much. So I haven't heard it. Don't know what to tell you about that. So I apologize though for any issues with that. So hopefully we'll get it worked out.
Yeah, it'll work out.
All right.
And it's channel 18, just.
Yes,
for,
from what they were telling me, Channel
yeah,
18.
it's the government channel.
Okay.
So it's channel 18, Saturdays and Sunday mornings. Again, thank you, Ben, for orchestrating that. And
Okay.
again, folks, if there's, issues with Time Warner, please give myself, the board, and/or Time Warner a call. There is an 866 number, it's 866-321-2225. So 866-321-2225 should take you to the Rotterdam High Bridge Operations Center. The guy I worked with last night was great, Nathan Z. So, and again, I got a call from the VP of Operations, and they're committed to making this as smooth as possible. So again, if any issues, give us a shout. I do want to take a minute to talk about Denise to the board. Denise Teets, has been doing the mail, so she's been doing a pretty bang-up job. They're starting to leave her alone here. There's going to be a meeting, we can do an assessment. I asked the staff to contribute. I think they're leaving her alone a little bit too early. I want to expand her role a little bit to not only delivering mail, but to making copies and delivering to the boards, logging in the same way everybody else does. So I do want to expand on her role a little bit, but the mail's coming in good. It's getting delivered. There's maybe a couple mix-ups, but we'll get through it. And
The job coach.
the job coach, sorry, the job coach is stepping away a little bit more every day. And I want to work with Pat and the planning board and Darla, and maybe move your office out of there down to Gino's old office, and maybe put Denise in there with some mail slots. And
We used to be down there.
I know, so we're going to graduate you to the big office again. I gotta ask Michelle that, I got a call from Denise's mother. Where'd you go? That you made a phone call to Denise's mother?
I make a lot of phone calls.
Well, I'm sure you do, but to Denise's mother?
Yeah, I talk to her a lot.
All right. I guess, again, if you have complaints about how people are working, I wish you'd address them to the board.
Well, I guess I do have a complaint. I have a complaint that has to do with the Princetown email.
Well, this is talking about Denise.
Oh, well, you just said complaint, so
Yeah,
I
no,
figured that encompassed a complaint.
no,
Okay.
this is specific to Denise, I mean.
Yeah, no, I'm good with Mrs. Teets and Denise.
All right. I was concerned why you make a phone call to somebody's mother.
I don't think that has anything, you have any reason to ask that question, Mike. So,
I got a phone call.
good, I'm glad that you did. I make a lot of phone calls, like I said.
Okay. All right, I do want to touch base again on the solar. Again, thanks to everybody, but I just want to highlight again, and I'm not going to go into it really deep, but it's a power purchase agreement. So, besides the McDonald bill, which is again $1,200–$1,400, The investment for the town has been zero, besides the effort of, you know, George, Dan, Pat, you know, Joe and Lou and Mike Cuevas. But from a construction materials perspective, there's been no investment. It is power purchase agreement, so they will be selling the power back to us at a, you know, a 30 to 40% reduced rate. There's no batteries, there's no, you know, there's certain very strict rules about doing this, you know, that the state, you know, monitors or makes everybody comply to. But again, I just want to highlight to the town that there's no outlay of any money besides the engineering bill, which we gotta discuss, of the town. You know, it's gonna be a power purchase agreement. George touched on it a little bit there, that the meters are actually running backwards, so I guess anybody who's got electrics outside their house can understand if the meter's running backwards, that's nothing but good news. So again, we don't get full credit, but we didn't invest anything either. So for the next 20 years, it'll be 30% savings, 30 to 40% savings on the kilowatts plus delivery fees. So again, we're hoping, you know, it's gonna be a pretty significant savings, not only to the people, you know, that pay for the electric at town hall, but especially the residents in the water districts that are charged the operations and maintenance on their bills every month. So, you know, it may not be a huge difference, but again, you know, month after month, you know, year after year, times 20 years, again, we hope it's fairly significant, you know, in the long span. So I just wanted to touch on that. And I think the last piece I wanted to talk about, and I'm glad, Vic, that you stopped in. I know Carol's been working really hard on this. So, and I reached out to, you know, the board pretty much kind of today, because it's really, looks like it's coming to a culmination, but it looks like our server's dying a slow but painful death. I know Vic had a couple of committee meetings looking at, you know, our networking infrastructure going forward, not only computer-wise, but server-wise, and what we can put on the cloud, what we can't put on the cloud. But I think our hand may be getting forced here. I know Carol is, she can probably talk about it more than I would be able to, but I know she was working, you know, last week. They rebooted over the weekend. They're in there today. I think we're down to no backup, right? The one ride services. Yeah, so I again reached out to Vic and Tim Bishop, but we may need to seriously consider just going with Omnis, getting a new computer. So I may be calling saying, hey guys, we need to, I don't know, like, should we think about just doing a resolution or just an emergency meeting, or?
Well, I guess the question that I would have, looking at this, is most computer hardware is available on state contract. So I'm not quite sure if this is the state contract price that's quoted with respect to the servers that, you know, they list here. But I'm sure that nobody wants you to have a system failure where they describe the potential, because an entire system, the server goes down, that's gonna be.
Well, I mean, Cal can probably talk through it. I think the whole BAS system runs off of that, right? So that affects not only you, probably affects Paul, Dino, obviously Ronnie, Pat. So, you know, I'm gonna try to talk to Amos, but I wanna again reach out to Vic and Tim, and maybe we can get in touch with the state. But I think our hand may be forced here pretty quickly. I don't have an answer here. I just wanna gauge, if I make a phone call and say, hey, we gotta have an emergency meeting, we have to get a resolution through, then that's what we're gonna have to do. I just wanna give you a heads up, we'll try working this, a little more during the week, but if push comes to shove, then we may have to just go.
Do we have to wait till it dies, or can we just go ahead and?
Well,
see if we
I think
know?
what Mike is saying is like, if we have some opportunity or time, start reaching out to some of the state contracts and see if, because he's giving you making model numbers, can we get it, at the 20% discount?
Well, doesn't he have to offer a state contract?
Well, that's what my question was, is the price, it doesn't indicate here that this is a state contract price. So that would be the question for them.
And just for the public information, so everybody in town, obviously in this day and age, you have to have a computer. It's just a way of life. It's like a mechanic needs a toolkit, or a toolbox, or craftsman tools. Carol, the assessor's office, Dan, the planning board, we all work off these servers. It's the backup, it's our record keeping, it's probably almost the number one tool in town hall. So it's not really an option that we can,
Well, this is what I was saying, or
Schedule
what I
away.
was meaning, like, if we know it's going, can we not make a resolution that if this is state contract, or when we get state contract, would we not go ahead and make a motion to go ahead and just have it done? Instead of having an emergency meeting when,
Right, you could condition it that way, that if the quotes are based on a state contract price, that then you'll authorize the supervisor to proceed with the purchase. Now, they have a couple of options here, so.
I mean, I just would hate to see us go down and, then have all kinds of problems. I'd rather, if we know it's going down and it's dying, I would rather see us take and get it fixed with, part of it still running going to, I mean, it's the cost of doing business.
well, I agree with your thought. I guess the good news is Carol's able to, however she did it with duct tape or Band-Aids or whatever, but she got us through tonight, so, kudos to Carol and Ronnie and her team, but,
I'm just thinking it'd make it easier for everybody if we
I'd rather,
was proactive on it.
yeah, I'm all for it easy, but I'm also for, a wise investment. So if this was, 3 days or a week before the September meeting, then I would think, maybe we should go ahead and purchase, just so we don't hinder Carol and, the staff, from being ready, but I would like to, just be prepared. I don't know if we can make a resolution that generic, or,
Well, no, I think, you have to be specific.
yeah. So,
Okay, I just,
yeah, I appreciate it, it's a great thought, I mean, I know Vic and his team were looking at it, and, but I think it's coming quick, so, just wanna be, you guys be aware, we'll do the best we can, as fast as we can, and get prepared,
Mike, you want to comment on it, or?
yeah, absolutely, Vic, go ahead. So just for why Vic's walking up, so Vic, we'd asked him earlier in the year to form a committee, I forget, computer and network committee, again, to look into the future of the network in town hall, computer-wise, software-wise. Can we store on the cloud? Can we store on a server? Can we do a combination of both? But, sorry, go ahead.
It's Vic Benson, 3040 Gifford Church Road. Yeah, so a few months ago, I think Omnis was here, and they presented a proposal. And of course, I spoke up and became head of a committee to look into it. So my initial response was, why does the town want to invest in infrastructure? We don't have an IT staff here. Why doesn't everything just go to the cloud? And been in the IT business for a long time, and I think that is the general direction of the industry, but this is small here. This is extremely small. And I think the risks versus the rewards for having thin clients, not having a server here, doing everything over the web. It's just not there. So then if you look at the options, and you look at on the proposal and the history they have with the town, what they know about what's here already, I mean, that's a huge advantage in itself. To bring somebody new in here and have to start from scratch isn't gonna be free. There's a cost associated with that. There was a proposal dated February 2013. I thought it was solid. It's a combination of backup services and infrastructure. I think it is a wise investment for the town to just move forward with that proposal. The proposal should be updated from February to current August. Yeah, I mean, if there's state contract costs for the server, those obviously we want to acquire at that rate. The way that servers change, I mean, the server that's offered in that proposal might not even be current at this point. There may be another lesser expensive, more current model, but if you're looking for a wise path forward, I would go with that proposal, and I wouldn't wait. It's already overdue.
You can give one to Pat on the way by. Thanks.
I did look at this proposal, this is the one you sent today.
Yep.
And as I read it, I don't know if you're aware of how the current server is configured, but it's in a RAID configuration, a mirrored RAID, which means there's 2 hard drives and each hard drive has the same data on it. And from what I understand, one has failed,
Right.
which means you have only one left holding all the data. So if that goes, you're going to be SOL.
Unless you have a backup.
What's that?
Unless you have a backup.
Unless we have a backup, which I'm not sure what our backup is, how often it's backed up.
I think it's on tape.
It's on tape. So, I mean, I think it's fairly critical at this point that we get something. The other thing that, as I read their server configuration, and correct me if I'm wrong, Vic, but they build these themselves. They take components and they start with kind of a main, kind of a base unit, and they're building these for you. My only thought on that is, I'm not sure what the warranty would be on that kind of machine if we don't continue to use Omnis. Who do we go to afterwards if we have problems with them, if we don't have them anymore? State contract, sometimes state contract is more expensive than what you can get online, which I've had to happen to me over the years. Many years at the state and buying stuff off state contract, particularly computers. They don't always have the best price, but it's certainly worth looking at. So I wouldn't lock yourself into saying, we got to go state contract, because they may actually be able to give you something better. Those are just my thoughts. I know Tim took a quick look at it, and frankly, he's so busy at work, he just, he can't really help you at this point, but, he's
It's going to be on
certainly.
the same page. I see this is August 12th. I haven't seen this. The document I was working off of was older, so
Yeah,
we'll take a look. And maybe this is the update to the
Yeah.
February proposal.
Yeah. Well, when you said the February proposal looked good, I actually go back and said, hey, we got February, can you do an update?
Yeah, so I see the 3 options here. I'll look at this tonight and send you an email,
Yeah.
feedback on it.
All right, yeah, that'd be great. So, again, for the board, looking at option 2 with 1,900 plus, $2,500 installation. And that means, I'm assuming, bringing over all the old data, all the software, fast, et cetera, making sure everything's up and running, make sure everybody's got access, et cetera, et cetera. And the software, Microsoft software. So 6 users. So I don't have an answer, but be prepared. If you have to make a call, we have to make a call.
Okay.
All right. And, do we want to talk about the FOIL process? This is again, going back to the conciliation agreement. We said the town board would look at Mr. Freeman's concerns or suggestions, and whether to follow them or not is up to us. There is nothing wrong with it. He has suggestions. He may not agree with the town board, but it's pretty much the same process used by lots of other people, including the state police. I'm sure you guys would agree that anytime you make a move, that you can ask your attorney to take a look at documents. It's just the prudent thing to do. But, so we do have a couple options. We can rename some of the officers. We can leave it as it is. And you guys all saw Mr. Freeman's response. Although he did not respond to Mike Cuevas's questions, a set of 10 questions, but so be it. I kind of think this is a pretty good process here as it is. It's pretty clear, it's pretty concise, protects not only the, yeah, and, you know, protects the town, also protects the requester, and it's really just documentation. I understand it's burdensome, but pretty much all paperwork is burdensome. But, you know, as part of the constellation, we need to say, hey, we reviewed it, we agree with it, we don't agree with it, we can make a change. Some of the changes can be, we can make Mike Cuevas FOIL officer and chairman of the Records Advisory Board, the appeals officer. We could make the Records chairman of the Records Advisory Board the FOIL officer. And again, Mike Cuevas is the appeals officer. You can make Mike Cuevas the FOIL officer and make myself or the town board the appeals officer. So, you know, I guess there's a few options to try to address the concern. Again, I'm not sure that again, Mr. Freeman chose not to respond to our questions, but again, so be it. I'm looking for some feedback on you guys' thoughts. Here's the, got the handy down. All right, talk along here.
Are we following the procedures that we put in place? I think that's a fair question to ask.
It is a fair question to ask. I haven't seen any foils. And it is in the, it's clearly stated there, so.
And why aren't we following the procedure?
Well, I guess really the question right now is not necessarily, you know, the party conciliation. I'm not here to, we're trying to get to, you know, make sure everybody's working together. It's sort of better than in town. I'm not gonna be pointing fingers and who did what and who said what. Just, you know, we can leave it the way it is. We can make the changes, a couple that I suggested, you know.
What if we wait for Freeman to get back to us, to answer our question?
I don't think you're gonna see that.
I don't think you're gonna see an answer.
Well, hold on, why not? I'll ask him again.
Well, his response actually included yours. He didn't respond to Mike's.
Well, he's our counsel. He should respond.
Well, I think he thought that whatever he sent was responding to everybody. But, you know, with respect to the specific questions that we posed, we didn't get specific responses. So we agreed in the conciliation agreement that we would consider what his response was. So I think that's what supervisor is saying. We've got something from him that then leads to some, you know, potential changes if anybody wants to make changes.
Well, I think this process, having seen a ton of manufacturing operation sheets, I mean, this is very clear This is, I mean,
And it's not really so much the process, where we make, some generalized comment about it. The one specific comment that he made would be the town attorney's role in this process, so that he didn't feel, the town attorney, that if the town clerk is the FOIL officer, that if she had to consult with the town attorney on the initial FOIL request, that then the town attorney shouldn't also be the appeals officer. So that's why the proposed change. So that if the town attorney were the FOIL's officer, then he could not be the appeals officer.
Yeah.
If he's the appeals officer, he can't be the FOIL's officer. And his feeling was that the way it's set up now, it would make it that, even though I'm not a FOIL officer, that by getting my input at that stage, I would be the de facto FOIL's officer. So we'd have to make some more clear division of duties. And that would be, if we did something like that, then I think, the rest of the process would probably be fine, since he didn't have any real specific suggestions about anything else.
okay, so it's not about the process, it's just about.
Not as much, I mean, like I
Oh.
said, he made a generalized comment
Yeah.
that he thinks we could have a more informal process than we have. But that's not saying that the rest of the process is wrong, just that
Right.
you can choose to make it simpler.
So, and I know this might be, I don't wanna make any rash decisions here, but if we sat on this for a month, does that jeopardize the
No,
consideration?
I don't think that, I mean, as long as everybody is,
Well, yeah, I think I.
considering what,
Yeah.
right, you have the process, you have his comments, the supervisor has put some, possible options out there. So, it's not unreasonable to then think about that until the next board meeting and hope to come to some resolution then.
I like that.
Okay, so we'll table this discussion until September. All right. Anybody have any questions for me? I think I covered it the last month or so. Real good? Okay. Let's move on to business. The minutes of approval from the June 11th, so Cal, if it's okay, I'm gonna table this one because I don't, you can probably send them out, I just probably didn't get a chance to look at it, so. If it's okay, this first one I'd like to table. The second one, do you have a motion to approve the minutes of the July 9th, 2013 town board meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I thought it said that they are approved.
That's the motion.
Do I have a second? Do we want to table it?
Where's the minutes?
They're in your email.
All right.
All right. Let's table it. Oh. I need to back up a little bit. Because now, so email. Not last week, the weekend before, Digital Towpath changed over to a new server. So it's a new login, new password. So if you haven't tried, this is through staff and anybody else got it, princetown.net email, contact myself or Tim. We have the temporary passwords. It's almost the same link but you're probably clicking on the link where it says digitaltowpath.org/Zimbra. That's gonna take you to the wrong site. You just need to take the /Zimbra off and click it, and then, use your temporary login and reset your password, so. We'll blame that you guys didn't read the minutes on the email conversion. Please read your email. Town board, do I have a motion that town board approves the video audio tape recording of the August 13th, 2013 town board meeting upon duty of the town supervisor or delegate?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Lou, second.
Esposito.
Yes.
Jazinski.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Yes. New business, the Highway 284 agreement for 2013. Do I have a motion that the town board approves the following highway projects per the Highway Law 284 and an intermunicipal agreement with the county of Schenectady for the following road work projects? Overlook Lane at a project not to exceed $6,800 or $6,890, and Willow Run at $30,340 for a total of what? Let me finish reading here. For a total highway 2013 highway road program not to exceed $37,340. This program does not include the remaining 2013 snow and maintenance work per our yearly contract. Do I have a motion?
Could I ask a question before?
Yep.
The 30,000, what is that gonna be including on Willow Run? Is that the removal of the stone? Or what, does that have something else to do?
So there's some ditch work on the entrance from, and it's on the 284, I broke it down. When you enter Willow Run, from Kelly Station, the ditch on the left was starting to wash away. The heavy rains we had was eating into the road, so he's gonna repair that like not 1,000 feet, probably 500 feet. And then the removal of some of the stone on some of the turns in Willow Run, replaced with grass. We're also gonna put up some delineators up there to hopefully curb the enthusiasm of people cutting the corners.
Okay.
So, and then we're actually gonna patch a couple of spots with tar, so.
Okay, I didn't know if it was just for the, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We gotta repair some of the culvert there too.
I'll make the motion.
All right.
I'll
So-
second.
Is that Joe?
Tom, second, yeah. Or, sorry. Did you wanna ask Loretta or something, see if Pat is leaving?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask for councilman's concerns, I got some questions about it.
Can you see if Pat's still here? Loretta? Pat? You staying?
I was going to, you need me for something?
Lou's got some questions about councilman concerns.
Right now?
No, during councilman concerns.
Okay, I'll be back.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Sorry, Charles, did I interrupt you?
Okay, no, Esposito.
Yes.
Jazinski.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes. Court security contract. So again, folks, we're looking to, we've tried to negotiate a little bit, we looked at other resources, but the county contract, I understand that Sheriff D'Agostino is, probably locked in by contract, but, we're paying time and a half for the officers to come out here, and, there's just no compromise, and I've talked to Mike, I've talked to, around the county, and a lot of towns don't have two people. So, I'll try to reach out again one more time to the county, see if they can just charge us straight time instead of time and a half for two people, plus benefits, plus travel. But otherwise, I think we need to reduce court security by 50% or a single person, so. What I'm asking the town board is to, authorize me again and Michael Cuevas to contact the sheriff and say, hey, look, is there any room to negotiate here? I know Joe, me and you went down about a year ago, and I've reached out to Office of Court Administration, but, they didn't responded, but I can respect the sheriff's, you know, if his hands are tied, but on the other hand, you know, I can't see us paying, you know, the figure we're paying. So I'm asking the board to authorize me and, you know, upon review, Attorney Mike Cuevas to reduce the court security personnel by 50% or bring it down to a single sheriff. Again, if there's people that come in that are escorted in, they're usually escorted in with 2 sheriffs, so, you know, it's a pretty big number that, it's like 22,000 for court security for a year, so it's a pretty big number. And just not sure with reduced revenues and reduced traffic that we really needed, so. Do I have a motion that the town board authorizes Supervisor Joyce and upon review of Attorney Mike Cuevas of the court security contract with Schenectady County Sheriff, to which town currently pays overtime rates to reduce the court security personnel by 50% or to a single sheriff deputy per weekly court session?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Esposito,
Yes.
Jazinski,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes. Yeah, I put that ended up here. That's how it started. All right, folks. Again, Carol, thank you, and Ronnie for help. Ronnie sent an email this morning. When I first did vouchers before I went on vacation last week, I did MET, but then while I was doing them, the second bill came in, so I took this
Okay.
one out. So I'll just staple it in here, or?
Yeah, just want you to do it so it'll be tracked, that's
All
all.
right, so,
Okay,
yeah,
That's fine,
the bill's here.
okay.
All right, so I'll take care of that later, so bear with me, folks. All right. Do I have a motion, town board approves claims numbers 203 through 241 in the total amount of $48,194.51. General fund claims. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Esposito,
Yes.
Jazinski,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes. Oops. Bear with me, folks, I'm just going to attach this so I don't forget. It is attached, Carol. All right. We need to make a transfer, so do I have a motion, the town board approves the following transfers of $1,312 from the contingency fund account number 19904 to the unemployment line number 90508, for a reason that obviously got budgeted, the unemployment line.
So moved.
I'll second.
Esposito,
Yes.
Jazinski,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes. All right, water fund claims. Do I have a motion that the town board approves claims number 68 through number 83 in the total amount of $14,522.04?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Esposito.
Yes.
Jazinski.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes. As we previously spoke, so the next motion or resolution is about awarding a bid for the Normanskill Creek stabilization contract. Again, this is a combination of DEC, NRCS, and FEMA funding. So McDonald Engineer put together the bid, it's been approved by DEC, the design has been approved by NRCS, and it went out to bid. Carol and Doug opened it up on the 16th, so this resolution is in connection with awarding a bid for the Normanskill Creek stabilization contract. Whereas pursuant to notice duly published according to section 103 of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York, bid proposals for the Normanskill Creek Slope Stabilization Contract were publicly opened and read aloud on the 16th of July, 2013, with the following results. The awarded winning contractor would be CFI Contracting with a lowest bid amount of $229,251.42. Whereas John McDonald Engineering, the engineering firm in charge of the proposed project on behalf of the town of Princetown, recommends that CFI Contracting Incorporated, 286 Sacandaga Road, Johnstown, New York, 12095 be approved as the lowest and most responsible bidder. Now therefore be resolved by the town board of the town of Princetown, Schenectady County, New York as follows. Section 1, hereby accept and award the Normanskill Creek Slope Stabilization Contract to CFI Contracting Incorporated in the amount of $229,251.42 for furnishing all work, labor, and materials in connection with the general construction of the project. Section 2, pursuant to the award of the contract by the Board of CFI Contracting Incorporated, town engineer John McDonald Engineering is hereby authorized and directed to take appropriate steps to implement the contract award. Do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Second.
Esposito.
Yes.
Jazinski.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes.
I actually have one thing that I had forgotten to bring up. At last month's meeting, you voted on the certificate of designation for service of notice of claim. So I went to the website to fill it in, and actually, the note, or the resolution that was passed did not include a time frame. And the first question on this is the time limit. The time limit for service of a notice of claim upon the public corp is, and it was not included. So like, for instance, part could be, whereas pursuant to general law, section 50E1A, the applicant time limit for filing a notice of claim upon a town is 90 days after the claim arises. Or in the case of wrongful death action, 90 days from the appointment of a representative of the decedent's estate.
It's set in the general municipal law.
Don't you think it should be in the resolution?
It's established by state law. It doesn't have to be in the resolution. We can't change that. It's state law.
Can you send that to me?
Sure.
If I see it, then I'll put it in there.
Right.
Okay. Well, the other towns had put it in their resolution, so if that's fine. So it didn't get sent because of that. So. That's all.
All right, thanks, Carol. And, yeah, Mike, if you could send that link or document, that'd be great. I think that's all the business we have for right now. So I'll open the floor back up for public comment at 8:57 PM. And everything's pretty quiet, so I'm gonna go ahead and close public comment at 8:58 PM. for Councilman brief concerns. And we'll start with our senior councilman. That'd be you, Bob.
Thanks. The only thing that I would have question on, Mike, was back just a bit ago in our meeting on like, I got thinking about some of the motions and things that we make as a board. Well, I guess it was with the FOIL process. You know, if we make a motion and we spend the time on deciding which way we're gonna go with it, and it's not followed through, what's the use of us making motions? I mean, isn't there some way of them being enforced or whatever? I mean, I guess as a councilman, it just bothers me to think that we sit up here, we make motions and we pass things, and then it's like, I don't know, it just concerns me that, you know, it seems like what we're doing a lot of the time is just going to no avail. But that's my only concern.
Well, it's a valid concern. It's absolutely a valid concern.
You know, and it just does seem like that so much of the time, there's somebody else that's got to supersede trying to downplay our decisions. I mean, I just don't, it just troubles me.
It does, it troubles me also, that, you know, we try to establish, you know, vision, you know, where we want to be in the town, protect the town, you know, look at the financials, you know, establish policies to protect us and the financials, and again, provide some vision to the future, and to have our policies ignored is absolutely troubling. I don't know what we can do about it, but. That it, Bob?
I'm all set.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jazinski, Councilman Joe.
I haven't had time to formulate anything intelligent, so I'm speaking tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Councilman Lou.
Yeah, I've got some concerns about the McLean project, and I'm speaking with a member of our fire department. He has some concerns too that are not being addressed, and
So if I could just interrupt, so you're talking about the McLean trucking?
yes,
Okay.
McLean's Trucking Warehouse Distribution Center that's gonna be planned on being built. I don't know how far along they are in it, and I have a lot of concerns about it. Talked with Joe about it. We're going to be meeting, and I think we can state it, we're gonna be meeting with the superintendent of schools to discuss some options. I'm not in favor of it at this point. McLean's hasn't addressed any of the concerns that I presented to him. And one of the big concerns for our fire department, and I think Marv can address this if he could, I've talked with him about it today, is water pressure. And I don't think that's being addressed, and it is a big concern. And Marv, if you'd like to make a statement on it, I'd appreciate it, and you can get it on record.
All right, yeah, you can be brief and more, and you can stay there. We don't.
I'll keep it real brief. It isn't any more than ample water volume for a house. In other words, when they retested it, when McDonald's retested it about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, they invited my son over to go through it with the testing, and they had it all done by the time he got there. He got there at the time when it was supposed to have started, and they were all done, and it came up much lower than what it did when they done not the RCI building, the handicapped accessible building that is in Princetown. Now the part that we don't understand is why there isn't a water line put in there from Princetown. At least that would alleviate to maybe another 1,000 gallons a minute. Just to give you an idea of the flow was in the low 600 a gallon a minute category, which a lot of people, that sounds like a lot of water. It's not. It's not any more than enough for a house, really. And the underwriters, just to throw a number at you, underwriters say 1,000 gallons or more. And most any, and we haven't really tested all the hydrants in Princetown, but they all are, of any that we did test, were well above 1,000 gallons a minute category. And then when they did open the second hydrant, their volume went from 600 to 300 on the two hydrants. So I mean, you know, the combination is not there. So if they put 6 hydrants in that facility at McLean, you're not going to get any more. That's all you're going to get. So I mean, you know, it's really, to me, a no-brainer for that size building. And of course, the biggest problem was with the ammonia, whether you should have a windsock, as I mentioned to them before. At least you people that live close around there would realize which way the wind is blowing to know that you want to go the other way. Because ammonia is not a nice chemical. It's, you know, it just isn't. I mean, a good inhale of ammonia and you're in trouble for a lifetime. It's nothing that's repairable, nothing that you can do. An EMT paramedic with oxygen, there's just nothing there. The lungs are gone. And the other comment that I would like to make is on the gazebo, when you mentioned about putting in barricades around the gazebo, the stone that was there, and I think Lou will verify to that, or maybe Bob, the size of that stone didn't really seem to make any difference. They just went right over the top of it. So maybe you could put in, you do have power out there, maybe you could put in a 24/7 daylight camera located in the front of the gazebo where normally it wouldn't be seen or wouldn't be damaged with trucks. We'll pick on trucks turning in that area. I don't know, just a thought. Price-wise, I don't know. But you do have power out there, and I know those type of cameras are available because I've been looking at them myself. Not to that extent, but with a film that would motion would start it off and film it. And I'm sure the unit that would be involved in that, you'd have a good picture of the side of that trailer. Not to pick on the trucks again, but it seems like the two happenings were with the truck. I don't want to say any more, but,
Thanks, Mark.
you know.
All right, then I do have a question for Pat. How far along are you on this with the planning board?
We had a public hearing on it last month, and I have to say that no one from Princetown attended. We had a room filled with Rotterdam residents that had all kinds of concerns, which we tried to address. I'd just like to point out that I think the town of Princetown is doing its due diligence with this project, and that we have limited capacity on what we have control over, because most of the project is not in our town. Rotterdam has done nothing further on this project. I think if you want to have conversation, you might want to try having the conversation with the town of Rotterdam, because we are limited in what we can do. They're in for a special use permit renewal. We're looking at everything. We've incorporated all of your comments into our questions to them. We've asked for another traffic study, which Rotterdam has not done. We asked for a fire flow test and found the pressure to be even less than when it was tested 5 or 6 years ago. So we're incorporating that finding into what is going to be done for fire suppression. So, I mean, if people have issues and questions, I urge you to come to the planning board meeting. Because if they meet all the criteria and all the conditions that we set down, we have no choice but to give them a special use permit. We can't hold it up based on what somebody thinks or what somebody thinks shouldn't be there. You know, we have to operate on the laws, environmental seeker laws, all those kinds of things. And if they meet the criteria that's set down, we have to issue the special use permit. That's the only thing that's holding this project up right now. You know, we're asking for a left turn lane. We want to make sure that that gets put in. DOT comes into play on that issue, so it's not just us making that decision. So, you know, I would, if I were you as a town board, I would have a discussion with Rotterdam as to the unsuitability of this project for that area, because they don't seem to care about it. You know, it's not going to affect most of their residents. Obviously, there's residents there that will be extremely affected by it, and they were all here that night, you know, trying to get us to do something that their town isn't doing. So, I mean, I think we're taking a lot of time with this, as much as we can, and making sure everything is done right, but, you know, we are limited as a town as to what we can do. So
just to, you have another public hearing this?
the public hearing is still open because we're awaiting the results of this traffic study.
And the next meeting is?
22nd.
So I encourage-
You know, they tried to use some old data and do some kind of extrapolation on it as to current conditions, and we said no. You know, we want actual traffic counts as to what's going on at the pilot. Then they put some of those strips out to do some traffic counts, and they weren't, you know, capturing any of the trucks coming in and out of pilot. We said that's not going to do it for us, and now they went back and they hired a firm that's actually supposedly doing traffic counts. I would have actually liked it better if we could have hired the firm as a town and then charged it back to the applicant, but I guess we sort of missed the boat on that. But, you know, Doug Cole's been working with them, with their engineer, and asking for more information. The ammonia issue, we brought that up again. We actually had somebody here in the audience that night who was on the dispatch when there was a leak at Gollum. And he echoed what our concerns were, but apparently there's a threshold for ammonia on site, and if it's below that threshold, there's only so much, you know, that you can require them to do, things like that. So, I mean, again, you know, we're trying to look at everything, but we as a town don't have all that much control over this project.
So I guess what, you know, maybe, I don't want to speak for Lou, but I mean, I encourage everybody who's got, again, some voice to come in and, you know, come to Pat's meeting, and let's get in contact with Rotterdam. I'll try to draft a letter and send it to Gillum and.
Yeah, and that's another point. And we actually had Ray Gillum here urging us that this is such a great project, you guys should really push it through it. And I thought that was completely inappropriate, but, you know, he was here, and somebody from the Chamber of Commerce was here saying, oh, this is gonna create all kinds of jobs, which of course it won't, but, you know, we're getting pressure from even the county to say, hey, let's get going with this, so, you know.
That was the only meeting I didn't attend for your planning board. So.
I'm just saying, we had a public hearing and we had a lot of comment, and we took it all down, and we're gonna try to address it all, but.
Did you have something to say?
Yeah, I don't know if I can. Just to alleviate with Pat, I was here for half an hour. I had another meeting I had to go to. But the Rotterdam residents that own those houses over in there should be concerned, as Pat said. It should be a real concern for their own fire protection.
Right, and the one guy was saying that, you know, when his neighbor turns on his sprinklers, he can't take a shower. So I mean, that's how bad the water pressure is. So never mind a fire.
You know, I yelled about that for a long time.
So I
Because
heard everybody.
I've been over there mutual aid and with a fire with District 6. It's not our district, but it's District 6. And Ben pump operator, and I know what I'm getting. And I can only be just so much. You know, you can't, again, you can't suck out of a hydrant. It's gotta feed it to you.
Agreed.
You know, and the other thing, as far as using Princetown, I mean, even if we made that a requirement, and again, I'm going on what Doug Cole told me, but he said it would basically empty our system if they had to fight a fire using our system, because we just don't have enough capacity. It would just drain our system too. So
Is it true that they're gonna be building, the rumors that they're gonna have a convenience store and bank going in over there?
Well, one of the residents claimed that there's a project on the books for that island strip for some kind of project, like a convenient mart or something, which again, you know, confound the traffic there even more than it already is today, so, you know, again, that's Rotterdam. Rotterdam should be looking at all this stuff as a, you know.
We're across the tracks from them, that's why they don't care, they're across the thruway, it's not
I
gonna
know.
affect them, except for Shalmont, it's gonna
Yeah.
affect the kids.
But Pat, the fact that the water pressure just isn't there. I mean,
Well,
isn't there a point when an issue like that can override all the legalities of saying they met this, they met that, blah,
Well,
blah, blah.
there's an
But
engineer.
they can't put a fire out if they.
There's an engineering solution to it.
You put a storage
They're gonna
tank
put
there.
you know, they're gonna put storage tanks. That's what the engineering solution is. Well, we'll just put storage tanks. You
Who,
know?
McLean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they would, that's
Now,
what they said.
what's Rotterdam stand on?
Hold on, we're getting off track here. I mean, I appreciate the back and forth, but, you know, Pat's got a public hearing coming up.
All right.
You know, I understand the concerns, but, you know, as councilman concerns, you know, we can, I don't wanna open the public hearing up again, but, you know, we can, but, you know, again, Pat's got a public hearing, and.
22nd?
Yeah, it's still open, so we're still, you know, we're still taking comments and awaiting the traffic study results. You know, we'll see what we get.
And again, I know Lou, you know, I want to, you know, kind of shut this down a little bit, but it's a great discussion, but it should be with the planning board. But your fellow that does the traffic studies, because I'm listening to that guy talk the other night, and I was going, his numbers are way off compared to what your thoughts were, so, you know, if you got more data, Lou, now's the time to dig it up.
Chris, well, you do, it's all you have to do is call Golem, and they'll tell you how many trucks they got in, and call the industrial trucks, how many trucks are bypassing this area every day. It's not nowhere near what they're saying, and that's a true traffic count, because they know how many are coming into their facilities.
Let's get back on to our meeting.
Well, that was all I had under councilman concerns.
All right.
Just wanted to see how they were progressing.
Well, it sounds like they're moving along, which is not necessarily in the best interest of Princetown, but again, we encourage the residents to come in and speak out, and I think, like Lou said, he's gonna get in touch with the superintendent, the new superintendent, Shalmont, and hopefully she'll express her concern, because once those school kids start dumping out, the traffic's gonna really get bad, and I'm assuming probably dangerous with the amount of trucks that could be flowing in. For myself, I don't have a lot. Again, it was a busy month. I tried to take a little time off from work and from here, but I do want to highlight that on the July 28th Sunday paper, New Yorkers know Detroit's pain. You know, I hate to keep harping on the financials of the town, but I think this town board, and, you know, we've been pretty clear from the get-go that our focus here is gonna be looking at the future and watching the financials of town. I mean, that has been our focus, and it's just, you know, headlines like this that just scare you. That Detroit is, you know, filed for bankruptcy. I'm not even sure if there's an answer to that. You know, New York, even though Cuomo is saying things are good, they're borderline. You know, we're the highest paid and almost the highest tax state in the country, and never mind one of the higher state or tax counties in the state. So that probably puts us in the top 10 in the country. Maybe not the top 10, but somewhere close. And it's just, I struggle with that. We have to waste so much time on such, we'll call it the acrimony, but just on such, you know, stuff that, you know, we're not looking at, you know, trying to save money. So when we have to reach in to buy a new server or make an investment in our town, a strategic investment that'll, you know, pay some returns over the next year or two. You know, we're spending half our time on really, I struggle with it, I really do, on stuff that just so, in 3 years, what are you gonna remember? That we raised taxes or that the town board was arguing? There's gonna be no question, you're gonna remember the taxes. And you look at it every time you cash your paycheck. In the back, deductions, New York State, FDCIC, you know, federal. You know, who's gonna remember the victory? Nobody. They're gonna remember the tax. So if we're not focused on paying attention to where we're going here, this is what's gonna happen. You know, we can't control the state, we can't control Washington, we can't control the county, but we can control what we're doing here. We can control our destiny. We can, you know, focus on what we need to focus on. And so, you know, I apologize if I'm feeling a little frustrated and a little passionate about it, but I mean, it just sometimes it's just frustrating that, you know, we gotta deal with such minor issues. It's frustrating, but. Anyway, so, again, I know Paul left, I wanna thank him and, you know, and the rest of the staff, and that includes Carol's team too. I mean, you know, they're doing their job, so, you know. We just wanna take a minute to thank everybody in town. I know they're all kind of focused here, but, you know, we should probably lift our visions a little bit higher and focus on a bigger picture than who's tattling on who and blah, blah, blah. So, anyway. Any questions for me? Any questions for our outstanding attorney? All right, with that, then I will call this meeting to, I gotta make a motion to adjourn. I'll get it straight one of these days.
I'll second.
All right, so Joe first, Bob second, at 9:20. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Ben.
Welcome. Ben, you the man.